Well, welcome to the MBU Football Coaches Show. My name is Guy Danhoff. I'm here with Coach B. Coach, I said it on the air. I saw your post-game comments, and let's just face it, this past week against Culver-Stockton was the greatest comeback victory in the team's history. And now that you've had a chance to process some of that, and obviously as you get prepared for Peru State this week, but as you reflect back, what are your thoughts about this just epic matchup and game?
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head that it was pretty epic. Again, just really proud of how we responded, how we played. But at the end of the day, what I told the guys is, let's not make a habit of doing that. One or two things are going to happen. Either we're going to be the greatest comeback team in the history, or they're going to be looking for a new head coach because my heart won't be able to take it. But no, it was incredible, and I didn't even realize how big of a comeback it was until I was driving home, and my daughter was like, "Hey, do you realize you were down 22 with under 10 minutes to go?" And I'm, no way.
Yeah.
And
right
you go and look, and sure enough, she was right. So didn't even realize the extent of it, because we were just really kind of taking one play at a time, and things started unfolding. Before you know it, we were back in that thing, and we had a lot of momentum.
Well, you did, and just to recap for this for our fans, the Spartans ended up winning in overtime in an epic fashion, 44-37. However, they were trailing at one point, 27-2, halfway through the second quarter. And Coach, I mean, what's going through your mind, because you just came off the team played really well the week before. You're coming in, that this is a team that, you can beat, right? Because you played them into overtime a year ago. So what's going through your head at this point, 27-2, and you're in the second quarter?
Just really like, who is this team that's out there, because it really wasn't the team that we had seen over the last 6 quarters. We knew we started slow against Cumberland, but then over the last, that second half of that game where we almost came back and got the win, and then the entire game against Clark, I thought we played pretty well, especially defensively, and we weren't getting any stops. We had guys making a lot of mistakes. So really just trying to figure out, guys, what's going on, and where their mindset was at, what they were having problems with, so that we could make the adjustments. But really it just came down to getting them to settle down, getting them to get back to playing physical, and just kind of encouraging them through that, because I know as that game went on, not only were we frustrated, but they were frustrated. And so we just had to kind of get them to settle back in and take one play at a time and see what happened.
Well, what was really exciting is right before half, you guys score a touchdown. So at halftime, it's 27-8. And of course, I always ask you this every week, but in particular this week, what did you tell your team at half?
Well, I felt like there was a lot of guys hanging their head. There was a lot of guys frustrated. There were a lot of guys kind of deflated, and we just went back and talked about something that we've talked about since day one, about how you win and what it takes to be a champion. And what we talked about is that every championship team has to persevere through hard times, and this was the time we had to persevere. And then I think the other piece of that is that I felt like there were some guys that were worried about, were they getting the ball, were they making tackles. And, we just had to go back and say, listen, the only stat that matters is if we win or lose the game. We let everything else play out. So, that we had to go out and earn it. We knew it wasn't our best half, but we had to settle down, refocus, and go out and again, just take one play at a time and see where things ended up. And by the grace of God, it ended up going in our favor.
Well, I have to put the glasses on for this, because there was so many scoring. It was awesome. So basically, you get down to the 9:30 mark in the fourth quarter, and to what your daughter said, you were trailing by 22. It was 37-15, 9:30 left.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you rattle off 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean,
4 touchdowns, and one of them ignited by the Joe White punt return that landed him to be the Hart Special Teams Player of the Week. Over 60 yards, just unbelievable. Had this place in a frenzy. And at this point, I know you're all now believing, because you brought the score down to 37-30, and you still had time left on the clock.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing. Is we had 2 things that really went in our favor. One is the offense on the drive before, I think, went 60 or 70 yards in 4 plays.
Yep.
So that was a big boost right there. And then for the defense to go out and get a stop when we came over and it was 37-15. The biggest thing is we just said, hey, the offense, let them do their thing, but we cannot give up another point.
Right.
And everybody was positive under there. On the bench, under the tent, we were talking about just we've got to do our job. We've got to shut them out from this point forward. Right. And we came out, we got to stop, and then of course, then you get the punt return. So, looking up at the clock, you're down 22, and with over 6 minutes to go, we were down 7.
Right.
So, of course, Joe not only got the punt return, but then got the big 2-point conversion.
Yep.
So then it just fueled everything. I think the defense just knew, hey, listen, we haven't played our best game, but the offense has given us a chance. We got to go pick them up. And I think you saw all phases of the game just picking each other up throughout that 9 minutes. And
well, you
awesome.
did. I mean, Kevin and I on the broadcast were commenting up until that punt return. They had a lot of swagger. They did. They felt very confident. They were doing a lot of things they wanted to do. But at that point, they kind of were just trying to run out the clock by being so conservative. The defense is just stepping up in the biggest way. It was so impressive to see. And then, of course, then you tie the game on Nick Watkins' 26-yard pass from Simpson. And now all of a sudden, now you're just hoping to stop them, which you did.
Yeah. And we stopped them on a blocked field goal, which was outstanding.
On a blocked field goal.
It was frustrating to give them that option,
right?
Give them that opportunity. I felt like we were not at our best there, and we took. That's something that we stress a lot is that when the game's on the line, we're going to be very basic in our calls. We didn't execute at the highest level. Really, I think for whatever reason, it just wasn't our day defensively,
right?
And we know what we've got to do. We went back and saw a lot of things that we made mistakes on film. Hopefully we're getting them corrected this week. We've had a good week of practice for that. But, the best thing was in that timeout, we had 2 back-to-back timeouts before that field goal. One that they took, and then we went to go ice the kicker.
Yep.
And I think the biggest thing there was in that second timeout, the only thing I told them was, guys, we need everything you got right now. Whatever you got left, we need it. And the rest of that timeout, they were individually saying, listen, this is what's going to happen. You do this, and I'm going to do that.
Right.
And they were kind of orchestrating how they were going to get the block on their own, and it worked out perfectly.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was kind of, the karma, if you would, because a year ago we had they had blocked our kick in overtime, which then they kicked and won last year 33-30. But for you to get the block right there, right at the end, this place was just shaking. I mean, I'll tell you what, it was shaking. And then we get into overtime. They win. And so the goal is actually to be the team that goes second. You didn't have that luxury. You had to go first. But then you just took the ball from the 25 and then on basically a 23-yard pass play from Simpson, you hit tight end Caden Solverud right there in the left of the end zone, touchdown. And, talked a little bit about him because from talking to you in the post game, it was the first time he's ever caught a ball in his career, let alone, in the preseason, he looked really good. And he's someone that I have said on air, he is my guy. I think he's one of those guys that you were able to bring into camp. And this is a guy who's making the most of his opportunity. And you guys use him in very key spots. And nothing could be more key than to get that catch in overtime to put the Spartans ahead 44-37.
Yeah, Caden's done a good job. He's a defensive lineman at his previous school at Missouri Southern, a Division II, and he's lost a lot of weight, got himself in great shape, came in to play tight end, and we're excited that he's here. He's doing a great job, and I give a lot of credit to Jordan on that play and a lot of credit to Coach Heck on that play in the play call because he specifically told Jordan, going into overtime, hey, they're going to key on Joe. They're going to key on Joe White. You're going to have to go somewhere else with the ball.
Right.
And Jordan did a great job of playing front side where Joe was with his eyes and then coming back to Caden.
Yeah.
He ran a great route. Jordan threw a great pass, and we were able to get the touchdown.
All right, Coach, relive the moment for us. It's 4th down. It's overtime. They have the ball. Anything can happen. What is going through your mind? And
well, what was going through my mind is, I felt like we had we had a good play call. We used our timeout so that we could get everything settled. We used our timeout, and then we felt like we had a really good play call. But as the ball was snapped, I started seeing the slot receiver, come wide open, and I thought, oh my goodness. But give a lot of credit to Herman Burks, our freshman safety, who was in there because we had an injury to our nickel. Zepp got a little bit beat on that one, and after the game, he said his legs started cramping like in the middle of the play.
Oh, gosh.
And Herm came over and broke up the pass, and all broke loose at that point.
Yeah, Spartans went crazy.
Yeah,
Mayhem went crazy. We were all celebrating, and it was just. I'm just saying, if you were here for that game, go watch the replay from last week. It's out there. It truly was. I've said this. It was the greatest game that I've ever been able to call in my career of 10 years. But, Coach, again, the most important thing is the heart that the Spartans showed, the character, the determination, the integrity, all the things you've been talking about every year and that you talk about, in training camp. To see it happen after being down 27-2 is so remarkable. So now that high is now over.
Yep.
As you know, it's now week 4.
Yeah.
You got to move on, right?
Yeah.
So talk to us about Peru State. I know last year it was a high-scoring affair. They ended up beating the Spartans 43-32. Now you're going to head to Nebraska for a Saturday night game at 6 o'clock. And what do you see from Peru State this year?
Well, they're very similar to last year. They've got a dynamic wide receiver. They've got a really good quarterback who can use his legs, and he's really good throwing the ball. They've got several other wide receivers that can make plays as well. I think defensively last year they had a really good interior guy who I think is getting. I think he's in the NFL right now.
That's impressive.
But he got hurt early in that game, and that helped us a little bit. But you go back and watch that game from last year, and we definitely had our chances.
Right.
We made some mistakes defensively, gave up some deep balls that we've got to make sure that we don't give up this week, and we gave up deep balls last week. So that was something that we've worked on a lot this week. But to me, I think you have two really evenly matched teams, and it's going to be the team that is disciplined and executes at the highest level. So we had an opportunity a year ago, that was our homecoming, where we threw a ball into the end zone on 4th down with 3 minutes or so to go to take the lead, and the ball went right through the receiver's hands, and then we ended up giving up a long run. But it was anybody's game there for majority of the game, and I expect that it's going to be very similar as long as we show up. We've got to start better. I think that's been a big point of emphasis. We've changed some things in practice. We've just continued to harp on those things, but if we can get off the bus, have things dialed in and go execute at a high level, I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us. Absolutely.
So, Coach, you have an opportunity to go 3-1, which would be the best start in team history. So that's also exciting. And is there an advantage of playing at 6 o'clock versus 1 o'clock to you guys at all?
No, not really. I mean, I think it's a little bit challenging on the road, so we've got to stay focused, you know, because you're out of the hotel early, you're just kind of hanging around, you're doing walkthroughs, you're just killing time.
Gotcha.
So night games can be a little bit challenging from a focus standpoint. They're a little more used to it because most of their home games are at night.
Right.
But those little things, we can't let them affect us. That's something we talk about throughout the week, and just control what we can control, and that is that when the ball's kicked off, it's a football game. It's 60 minutes, and doesn't matter what time or where it's at. We got to be ready to go.
Absolutely. So, Coach, we wish you all the best as you go on the road. Then after that game, you come back home again, which would be four home games out of 5 games right here at Spartan Field. So you all want to come out to that. I do know that there's going to be more cool tailgating going on, all kinds of festivities here at Spartan Field. This place is rocking if you haven't been here in person yet. But again, I will say this, we'll plug last week. If you want to have a real good, feel-good Disney-type story with the Spartans, you'll have it watching last week's game against Culver-Stockton, that epic 44-37 win. So, for Coach B, I'm going to want to thank you for watching it right here on the Spartan Digital Network.